When I first got into bikes, I had about a million questions. And honestly, it was a lot. I was struggling to find answers without being made to feel dumb. So after years of figuring it out the hard way, I'm here to share what I've learned. No gatekeeping, no jargon, just straight talk. So welcome to episode 1 of Not Your Boyfriend's Bike Mechanics, the series for every rider who's been made to feel like bike knowledge is some kind of cool kids club. The inspo for today's episode, a video I saw where a girl had just got her first road bike and didn't realize she was going to have to pump up her tires regularly. And how would you know? Nobody tells you these things when you're first starting out. So today we're breaking down one of the simplest but important things you can do for your safety and your ride: tire pressure. So let's start with how often you need to be pumping up your tires. In short, before every ride. Let's look at my two different bikes. I have my road bike and my gravel bike. So my road tires are skinnier, which means they need a higher pressure to stay safe. So I'm pumping them up before every ride. On my gravel bike, I've got these big fat tires, which are wider and need less pressure. So I get away with pumping them up every few rides. The next question is, what pressure should you actually run? Pressure is just the amount of air you're pushing into your tires, and it's measured in PSI, which you can see on your bike pump cage. The biggest mistake I see people making is running too high of a pressure. A quick Google search will tell you to check the tire sidewall, but that's the maximum pressure, not the recommended one, and there's a big difference. Your ideal pressure is going to be dependent on a bunch of factors, like your weight, the terrain you're riding, your tire width, and even your riding style. Sounds like a lot, right? Introducing my favorite hack to simplify the complicated, the Silca Tire Pressure Calculator. Let's run through it together. After a quick Google search for the Silca Tire Pressure Calculator, I'll choose this first option, which brings me to the home page. I'm going to put in the total weight, just an estimation to start with. Then I'll hop down to input the surface condition. There are some great guides at the links below, but I know that I'll be on some gravel paths, so I'm just going to go with category 2 gravel. And then my tire width is 48 millimeters. I know this by looking at the tire sidewall or on the website where I bought my tires from. Then I know I have 650B wheels, and if you're unsure, you can also Google the wheel type that you have. So the type of tire is determined by the materials that are used. So again, reading the description on the website or asking your local bike mechanic. Then I choose my average speed. I'm going alone, so I'll be recreational, and I'm on a gravel bike, so I'll choose that option. Then I input my email and I'll get the recommendation below. The pressure for my gravel bike versus my road bike, there's a big difference. And if it gives you a number that's lower than you're used to, that's not a bad thing. But here's why. When you run a lower pressure, you get more grip, a smoother ride, and more comfort, which means your body takes less of a beating and you have more grip going through corners. Not only will that make your rides more fun, but when you want to go further or faster, it'll be super helpful. So the last question is, how do you actually pump up your tires? So let's run through it together. First things first, I need to take off the valve cover and unscrew the valve. Now I can attach my pump. I push it on and then open it up so that it clamps down. Now my gauge is showing me the current pressure, and I'll just pump it up to whatever I want it to be. And then I'll do it all in reverse. So I'll close this up, take it off, screwing on the valve and the cover. So yeah, tire pressure, not flashy or glamorous, but a total game changer. Next time you go out for your ride, pump up your tires, play with the numbers, and see how it feels. If you've got any questions or tire pressure horror stories, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. Thanks for hanging out for episode 1 of Not Your Boyfriend's Bike Mechanics. Next episode, we'll talk about how to give your bike the love it deserves with a good wash. Hit subscribe so you don't miss out.